Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advanced. This game is a really amazing game. With the white pieces we have 5 times world champion, we have Magnus Carlsen, and with the black pieces we have Anish Giri. So whenever they clash, it's always trolling, it's always Twitter, and it's always something which tweaks tweaks their personalities. But it's this time this clash is going to be one epic clash, because, well, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but I wouldn't want to keep these players waiting. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here e4 was played by Magnus. E5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. We go into the rule Lopez. We have knight to f6, Berlin defense, d3, bishop to c5, and just bishop captures. D captures castles, bishop to g4, and now just bishop to g5. H6, pushing the bishop back by Anish. We have bishop to h4, queen to e7. Now Anish is preparing a queenside castle. Definitely he's trying to go for the attack. And here knight bd2 by Magnus, but just a queenside castle. So Anish has really developed very well. The bishops are all on very nice diagonals. I mean, the knight is very strong. This bishop is not doing very much. With a move like g4, you can immediately start an attack. And here after bishop to g3, we have now finally knight to d7, and now comes this c3. And c3, with the idea, it was made possible because the rook was covered by the knight. So otherwise it wouldn't have been possible. Here king to b8, a very nice prophylactic move. Whenever you start an attack, always choose to go for a move like this. Here just b4, now pushing the bishop back. So Magnus gets in a tempo to be able to attack, but now bishop to d6, now a4. So Magnus is saying, you want to attack? Well, go ahead. My two pieces are defending very well. My knights are defending each other. My queen can come in with the defense, but here you don't have as many pieces when I'm attacking towards the queen side. Well, Anish goes for g5 nonetheless. He says my attack is happening a bit too fast. Here b5 by Magnus, and now just c5. And well, unfortunately for the world champion, or the former world champion, the thing is that this attack is something that is not gonna work out that very well, because you have to understand that knight is clearly just guarding the b6 square, and you cannot push. I mean, even if you push, I can just push, or either I can push this, and still the game is very much drawish. And now just going for this a5. So Magnus is definitely trying to just push all the way, but Anish does this as well. He goes for h5 in this position, and h4 is the threat. And what do you do in this position? Magnus stops his attack for a second, thinks, and goes for h4. By the way, this is a blitz game, so please don't touch any of these players, because they obviously it's blitz. We shouldn't analyze it a bit too much, because the games are just games. I mean, anyone can actually go for a very nice game in blitz, because people blunder a lot. But that's the way it is. Here just g captures, but now bishop captures, and there is nothing piece which you can put in aside from the knight, and you don't want to move the knight. So here just f6 now to not lose an exchange. But now just comes this queen to b3, and here Magnus is ready for an attack. Here rook gets to g8. Anish says, well, I'm ready as well. And with a move like g3 here in this position, everything is fine for Magnus, because you never even allow the prospect of h5 to h4 to exist. So this is very nice. But on the other hand, I mean, it seems like it's weakening your king side a bit too much, but not really, because you never allow even f5 to exist. You never allow h4 to exist. How is black supposed to open this position and try to attack? And as long as this bishop is not open, I mean, I think white is doing pretty well. And even with the move like rook to g7 here, trying to double up on the g file, you play d4, and after c captures. Yes, it's a pawn sacrifice, but after e captures, you're not allowed to capture. If you capture, then just knight to c5, and yeah, you just really worse, because this pawn is attacked 2 times. And yes, you can pin, but even this move in future would be a possibility. So I mean, this pawn is just getting weaker and weaker, and yeah, maybe not something you would want to do when you're trying to go for things. So if you don't capture, the position is just absolutely fine. And yeah, you can get the rook into the game somewhere along the line. You can just push those pawns, and in Magnus's hands, I think most likely either it will be a draw, or Magnus will push it for a win, so he would have the initiative. But now in this position of rook h to g8, hey, bishop to g3 was played by Magnus, and you always have to worry about that h4 thrust, always. And here after bishop to e6, now attacking the queen first, queen to a4, and just rook to g4. This rook to g4 is such a beautiful move, not because it's the best move in this position, but it simply says to Magnus, well, I'm throwing this rook in your face. What are you doing now? Are you going to just push it away with a weak move like knight to h2, or are you just going to just let my rook stay there? I can double up, and I'm gonna have a really nice attacking game. Well, Magnus goes for it. He goes for knight to h2, because you don't want to allow the rooks to double up that easily, and definitely with a free tempo. Here rook to g7, but just knight d to f3, and rook d to g8, now finally doubling up. But we have knight to h4, and knight to h4 is such a I mean, move that you don't want to play. Look at these three pieces. It's like basically a pawn, two, three pawns holding each other. But it's yeah, it's a very very bad position because your attack here is not happening. Maybe Magnus was bluffing and he was hoping that Anish would blunder. But I mean, just look at these pieces. This is not a good position to have. Hey, c4 by Anish. Anish plays like a complete engine here. He tries to find and he grinds the best moves here. D captures, knight to c5, queen moves, and now just going for this queen to f7. I mean, Anish was like 30 seconds down the clock. Magnus was 45, but still Anish managed to find this amazing moves. And now what do? Hey, b6 was tried by Magnus because you're just losing the pawn. There is no way for you to defend this. No knight are there in the position for you to defend or try to do anything in this position. There is no light squared bishop, and yeah, you can create counter attack or you can just resign here basically. But in this position, a move like bishop captures on c4 and after c captures, obviously instead of c captures you can play this bishop captures. I mean, bishop captures is really nice because there is no attack that's happening. If you go for b captures on c7, bishop captures, and how are you ever going to push? If you push, then just bishop captures, or if you push, I don't even have to capture with the bishop and create some threats. I can just play b6 and my game, you're never entering my position again. And that's the way I think it should have been, because even if you go a6, I mean, this is just game over. There is nothing in the position, you cannot do anything. And even if you go for it the other way around, let's say you don't capture this but you capture the a7 pawn and saying that after you capture with the king, I'm just going to push a6. Well, you cannot do that either because you don't have any attacking pieces, and knight and the bishop are doing a very nice job of defending the a6 square. Bishop is defending the c7 and queen is defending all of the 7th rank. I mean, there is absolutely nothing in this position for Magnus, honestly speaking. Here, rook f to b1, and after queen to e6, I think Anish's position is absolutely spectacular. These three pieces are not in the game, and as long as they're not in the game, Magnus is basically playing pieces down, and yeah, it's a very difficult position to have. But after b6, we have c captures by Anish, and he just gives Magnus some hope in this position. And after a captures, just a6, but Magnus could not find the right move here. Rook f to d1 was played by Magnus, but now comes this bishop to e7, just moving the bishop away out of harm's way. And Anish has been playing like an absolute engine aside from the one blunder that he made. But after rook to d5, now there is that's the point. There is no way you could actually save the pawns, so he decides to give the exchange to be able to keep those pawns. And Anish was like, well, thank you very much for the exchange. Bishop captures on d5, we have c captures, and now comes this bishop to d8, now just trying to go for that pawn. And the problem is you cannot even save that pawn. So here knight to f5 was played. Now attacking the rook, we have rook to g6, and the other knight comes into the game. And now you're definitely trying to prepare for that, for attacking the rook. But after queen to d7, now what are you doing even? Knight to h4, queen move, rook moves, and here this is an amazing position for black. Knight to h6 was played, just forking both the rooks, and Anish calculates precisely. He goes for the amazing engine-like precision. He goes for knight captures on e4, and after knight captures on g8, we have knight captures on g3, f captures, and bishop captures on b6 first. A very nice Zwischenzug before recapturing the piece, because now once the king moves, you've just calculated precisely, because the b6 pawn could be a little bit of an issue in the future, so you just eliminate the threat, and that threat is never going to be bothering Anish ever again. Here king to h2, rook captures on g8, and now the king side is absolutely shattered. All you have to do is get the queen into the game, and yeah, this is not looking good for Magnus. Here rook to b1 was tried, attacking the bishop to c5 now, and now just going for c4, just strengthening this pawn. But I mean, it's a bit too late for pawns to worry about pawns here. Queen to g4 was played, and now this is a threat you have to worry about it. Rook to b3 by Magnus trying to defend this, but just e4, and now this e4 is a class move by Anish. I mean, you can see that this bishop is going to be remaneuvered to this diagonal. With that threat on this g3 pawn, it's just very difficult to do anything in this position. Queen to b2 was tried, but here Anish calculates like an absolute monster. I don't know what got into Anish today. I mean, he was just playing all of these moves with engine-like precision. He wasn't even thinking, he was just so focused. And sometimes it's really scary when grandmasters are just so focused like that, and they are like, whatever move you play, I have just got a better one, and you cannot do anything. And here bishop to d6 was played by Anish. He gives up the b7 pawn and saying you have no threat. And here rook captures on b7 was played, king to 8, and rook to b3 was tried. Magnus was 3 seconds down on the clock, but now bishop captures on g3, and it was on this move, on just move 43, that Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, and Anish got this spectacular victory in just 43 moves against 5 times world champion. And that's something that's going in Anish's records for the best things that he has ever done. Definitely a very beautiful game by Anish. And why he resigned? Because there's nothing. I mean, either you just do this, or if you play king to g1, then this is just checkmate. So definitely not something you want to do. But if you just sacrifice and you're saying like, where is the checkmate, queen caps on g3, king to g1, then just comes queen to e1 first. You don't pick it up first, you pick it up with the tempo, king to h2, queen caps on h4, and now after king to g1 you play queen to e1 again. And you might be thinking, what am I doing, I'm just repeating moves. Not really. Rook to h2, and just a beautiful beautiful moves. It's a mate in 7, e3. And the problem with white is that he doesn't have any perpetual. You're going to need at least two moves to be able to just try and get some perpetual, but everything is forced now. And if you try to gain those two moves, like you play a move like that, then you're moving away from the defense of the king. A move like queen to g3 followed by king moves and just queen caps on g2 would be checkmate, so that would be very unfortunate. So queen to c2 now, just keeping everything intact, but the end game is completely winning. Queen to f2. If you trade the pawn, if you trade, then this pawn promotes. I mean, queen captures, pawn captures, and it's just completely over. Let's say you push d6, but f1 queen d7, and whatever you do, you're just getting checkmated. And even if you do it a different order, let's say you play g4, rook captures, d7, queen to g2 would be checkmate, and that's about it. So Magnus realized this, that the game was over on this move, on move 43, and he resigned the game. And yeah, Anish played this really really amazingly, and it was one of Anish's best games, to be honest. I mean, you never see him play this accurately. I think there was something in those Twitter chats where something pissed off Anish, and he was still trying to get back at Magnus. But yeah, he played this game spectacularly, no matter what the reason was. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very very soon. Thank you all for watching.